They say betrayal doesn't come from enemies, it comes from the ones closest to your heart. But why does it hurt so much more when it's someone you trusted? A friend who suddenly turns cold, a partner who leaves without a word, a colleague who smiles to your face, then twists the knife behind your back. And worst of all, you never saw it coming. But what if I told you the signs were always there? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that betrayal isn't some chaotic accident. It's not random. It follows a deeper pattern, a psychological script rooted in the hidden shadows of the human mind. And once you understand it, you may never be blindsided again. So why do people betray you? And more importantly, how can you learn to recognize it before it's too late? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could permanently shift the way you see betrayal and the people around you. Betrayal, a process, not an act. Most people think betrayal happens in a single moment, a shocking act of disloyalty. But Jung would disagree. He believed betrayal is not just an act. It's a psychological process, a storm that brews in silence, long before it finally breaks the surface. And at the heart of that storm, Jung's concept of the shadow self, the darker hidden parts of our psyche that most people spend their lives avoiding. When someone betrays you, it's rarely about you. It's about them, their own buried insecurities, their repressed feelings, their unmet desires. These forces hidden from their conscious mind are often the real reason behind their actions. 1. The shadow self and hidden resentment. Jung taught that every human carries a shadow, a part of ourselves we push away because it doesn't align with who we think we should be. This shadow holds the emotions we suppress: envy, shame, inadequacy, anger, fear. But here's the thing, those emotions don't disappear. They wait, and eventually they find an outlet, often in the form of projection. Have you ever had a friend or loved one who suddenly started criticizing you, pulling away or downplaying your success for no obvious reason? At first, you're confused. You ask yourself, did I do something wrong? But what's really happening is this: your confidence, your success, or your happiness triggered something in them, something unresolved. Maybe it reminded them of their own failure. Maybe it exposed a wound they didn't know they had. Their shadow self gets activated, and instead of dealing with their pain, they turn it outward onto you. A real-world example: picture this. You've always had a close friend who's been supportive, loyal, and encouraging. But then you start making changes. You get healthier. You launch a business. You start growing. At first, they smile and say, "That's great," but the congratulations feel hollow. Their energy shifts. They stop calling. They don't show up anymore. Or worse, when they do, they make little sarcastic remarks. "Oh, look at you now, all successful. Must be nice." It starts as a joke, but then it becomes a pattern. They criticize your discipline, dismiss your efforts, or try to make you feel guilty for changing. Why? Because your growth has become a painful mirror. It reflects their stagnation. And instead of letting it inspire them, their shadow turns it into resentment. And that resentment, if left unchecked, becomes betrayal. 2. Projection and the mind's defense mechanism. When someone's ego is threatened, the mind looks for a way to protect itself. And one of the most common defense mechanisms is projection. They begin to tell themselves a story to justify their discomfort. You think you're better than me now. You've changed. You don't need me anymore. The truth: you may have simply been evolving, but to them it feels like abandonment or humiliation or inadequacy, and their unconscious mind twists reality to shield their ego. They project their wounds onto you and slowly begin building a case against you. This is betrayal before the betrayal. It happens quietly, invisibly, until one day it surfaces as a cruel word, a cold silence, or a final cutting act. 3. Betrayal in the workplace, the jealous colleague. Now imagine this in a professional setting. You've worked closely with a colleague for years. You've shared ideas, supported each other's wins, and built a sense of mutual trust. Then you get promoted. At first, they say the right things. "Congrats, you deserve it." But their tone shifts. They stop collaborating. They start withholding information. You overhear whispers, rumors even, that trace back to them. Eventually, they begin actively undermining you, challenging your decisions, twisting your words, or questioning your competence in front of others. What happened? Their shadow self couldn't handle your success. Deep down, they felt they deserved it more, but they didn't face that pain. Instead, they channeled it into betrayal. 4. The manipulative mask, when betrayal is calculated. While many betrayals come from unresolved emotion, not all do. Some betrayals are cold, deliberate, calculated. These are the betrayals that leave you stunned, numb, wondering how did I not see it coming. Carl Jung believes some people wear masks, what he called the persona. It's the version of themselves they show to the world. It looks charming, supportive, even selfless. But behind that mask is something else, hidden motives. These individuals stay close, not out of loyalty, but out of utility. They need something from you, emotional comfort, status, money connections. And the moment they no longer benefit from your presence, they vanish. Or worse, they turn against you to elevate themselves further. This type of betrayal isn't rooted in shadow, but in self-interest. How to recognize it and protect yourself. So how do you protect your heart without building a wall around it? Here are a few signs to watch for. A shift in tone, once supportive, now sarcastic. Emotional distance without explanation. Subtle competition disguised as jokes. A pattern of minimizing your achievements or invalidating your growth. Gut instinct, if something feels off, trust it. And most importantly, set boundaries. Distance yourself from people who consistently make you feel smaller, weaker, or guilty for becoming better. Their betrayal is not a reflection of your value, it's a projection of their pain. Coming up next, betrayal hurts. But once you understand where it comes from, you'll stop blaming yourself. And more importantly, you'll stop being surprised by it. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the manipulative archetypes Jung warned about and how to spot them before they sink their hooks in. But for now, remember this. Betrayal isn't just personal, it's psychological. And once you see it clearly, you'll never unsee it again. If this spoke to something inside you, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden truths of human relationships. In the previous part, we uncovered how betrayal often begins not with a dramatic event, but with subtle shifts when someone's shadow self gets triggered by your growth, confidence, or success. But not all betrayal stems from unresolved resentment or emotional wounds. Sometimes it's far more intentional, cold, calculated. Now we're stepping into the darkest layer of betrayal, the kind that wears a smile while holding the knife behind its back. 1. The manipulative mask. When betrayal is deliberate and strategic, you start noticing a pattern. Whenever they need something, they're unusually kind. They flatter you. They listen. They offer help. But the moment you draw a line, say no, or can't provide what they want, they go silent. Or worse, they vanish completely. Maybe they were never truly your friend. Maybe what you thought was loyalty was just convenience. They were wearing a mask. This is where betrayal becomes more than emotional confusion. It becomes a performance, a rehearsed role, a game of image management where the other person is always calculating what they can gain from you. Carl Jung believed that these individuals operate from what he called the false persona, a mask they wear to navigate the world, charming on the outside but detached and self-serving underneath. They're the ones who mirror your values until those values no longer benefit them. They show loyalty, but only until your boundaries disrupt their agenda. And when that happens, they don't just leave, they often turn. Romantic relationships, the silent collapse. Nowhere is this more painful than in romantic relationships. One day your partner is loving, attentive, affectionate, present. They say all the right things, make you feel safe. Then seemingly overnight, they pull away. The texts slow, the warmth fades. Your concerns are dismissed as overreactions. Their effort drops to zero. Eventually they leave, sometimes without explanation, closure, or warning. What? Because their attachment wasn't built on connection. It was built on comfort, convenience, or control. As soon as the emotional cost became greater than the benefit, they cut ties. The betrayal feels personal, deeply so. But in truth, it never really was. Their presence was always conditional. Jung believed that people like this are not guided by depth or empathy. Instead, they view relationships as transactions, stepping stones to something they want. Emotional intimacy isn't a goal, it's a means to an end. How to spot the mask before it falls. So how do you protect yourself from people who wear loyalty like a costume? Here are a few signs. They only show up when it benefits them. Watch who checks in when you're not giving anything. They shift when you set boundaries. Someone who turns cold when you say no was never warm to begin with. They mimic you to gain your trust. These people study your values and reflect them, but only on the surface. Their compliments feel performative. Their words are polished, but their presence feels hollow. Want a simple test? Say no. Create distance. Watch how they react. True loyalty can handle your limits. False loyalty falls apart the moment it's not useful. Detaching from the manipulator, the hardest part. The betrayal from manipulators feels personal. It hits you in the chest. You question your judgment, your worth, your ability to trust. But here's the truth. It's not personal. It's just who they are. They don't betray you because of who you are. They betray because of who they are. And the sooner you accept that, the less power they have over your peace. Letting go of manipulative people isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. If someone makes you feel used more than seen, valued only when you're convenient, walk away. They were never in your corner to begin with. 2. Jealousy, the hidden poison behind many betrayals. Another powerful cause of betrayal, jealousy. One of the most toxic and underestimated forces in human relationships. Carl Jung believed that envy arises when someone sees something in you that they deeply desire but feel they can't attain. It could be your success, your charisma, your stability, your confidence, even your peace. The worst part, most jealous people won't even admit they feel this way. Sometimes they don't fully realize it themselves, but it festers, and eventually, it betrays. The telltale signs of jealousy. Driven betrayal. 1. Fake praise and sarcastic support. Someone might say, "Oh wow, must be nice to have everything handed to you. Oh, you're lucky. Not all of us have time to go to the gym. Oh, congrats. I guess someone had to get that promotion." They might sound like they're congratulating you, but every word is dipped in resentment. 2. Constant minimizing of your success. You start a business and hear, "That's great, but let's see how long it lasts." You finally hit your fitness goals and they say, "It's easier when you don't have kids." They won't celebrate you because to do that would be to admit that you're doing something they're not. 3. Emotional withdrawal. People who are jealous may start distancing themselves. They ignore your wins, stop showing up, avoid messages. Why? Because you've become a mirror and they don't like what they see reflected back. 4. Sabotage behind the scenes. In some cases, jealousy morphs into betrayal. Imagine a coworker who started with you at the same time. You work hard, take initiative, and get promoted. Instead of being proud, they whisper rumors. They only got that because they're close to the boss. They undermine your work, discredit you in meetings, smile in your face, and twist the knife when you turn away. 5. The jealous childhood friend. You've grown. They haven't. You've worked on yourself. They stayed still. And instead of being inspired by your growth, they mock it. Suddenly they're sarcastic, passive-aggressive, distant, and one day they betray you in the worst way by revealing secrets, gossiping, or turning others against you. The most painful truth about jealousy: people don't always betray you because they hate you. Often they betray you because they hate that they are not you. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to notice the signs and protect your energy. What's next? In the next part, we'll dive into betrayals rooted in power and dominance. The subtle dynamics where betrayal happens not from envy or emotion, but from a deep desire to control. And trust me, those betrayals come with a completely different kind of damage. But for now, reflect on this. If someone in your life only shows love when you're losing and turns cold when you start winning, that's not love. That's resentment in disguise. You deserve better. And now you're starting to see it. Previously, we explored how jealousy and control can slowly poison a relationship and lead to betrayal. But sometimes betrayal comes from a place, even deeper one, where someone isn't just reacting to you, but projecting parts of themselves they refuse to acknowledge. Let's now look at one of the most common yet misunderstood forms of betrayal, the kind that begins not with you doing something wrong, but with someone else seeing their own darkness in your reflection. 1. Shadow projection. When they betray you for who they are not who you are. Have you ever been accused of something completely false, something that didn't even resemble your behavior? Perhaps a friend who lies frequently begins accusing you of being dishonest, or someone who secretly envies your life claims that you're the one who's jealous. This isn't coincidence. It's projection. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow explains that every human being has a dark side, a collection of repressed flaws, insecurities, and desires that we don't want to admit exist within us. But just because we ignore them doesn't mean they disappear. They fester beneath the surface, waiting for a place or a person to land. And when someone sees in you something that triggers those buried traits, they begin to believe it's you, not them. Take, for example, a friend who often gossips about others behind their backs. One day, out of nowhere, they accuse you of spreading rumors, even though you've done no such thing. Why, Bobby? Because deep down, they despise that part of themselves. But instead of facing it, they cast it onto you. Or imagine a partner who constantly accuses you of cheating, even though you have been nothing but faithful. They demand access to your phone, question your loyalty, and grow paranoid without cause. That kind of suspicion might not come from your behavior. It could be guilt. It could be their own betrayal being projected onto you, just so they don't have to face the truth within themselves. Jung believed that when people refuse to acknowledge their own darkness, they create an enemy outside themselves, someone to blame. It's a form of unconscious self-defense. It's easier to turn on you than to confront their own flaws. They cheat so they suspect you will. They lie so they assume you do too. They feel insecure so they accuse you of being envious or arrogant. They betray you not because of what you've done, but because of what they refuse to deal with inside themselves. How to protect yourself from projection-based betrayal. Learn to recognize projection. When accusations come out of nowhere and don't align with your actions, it's likely projection. Don't accept guilt for someone else's internal conflict. Don't internalize their story. If their narrative doesn't feel true to who you are, don't carry it. You're not responsible for fixing their wounds. Set boundaries. You cannot heal someone who refuses to look in the mirror. When their accusations become abusive or repetitive, step away. You're not their therapist, you're their target. Remember, when someone betrays you through projection, it was never about your behavior. It was about their inability to face their own demons. You are simply the screen onto which they cast their shadows. 2. The narcissistic betrayal. Cold, calculated, and unapologetic. Some betrayals aren't emotional outbursts or unconscious reactions. Some are strategic, deliberate, chillingly intentional. This happens when you're dealing with a narcissist, someone who sees relationships not as bonds, but as tools. People are not partners or friends to them. They are resources. And when you are no longer useful, you're discarded or worse, used. At first, a narcissistic betrayer can be incredibly charming. They'll make you feel valued, special, even adored. But it's a setup. Their affection is conditional, designed to serve a purpose, to get something they want. Once they've taken what they need, your attention, your support, your connections, your loyalty, they vanish. Or worse still, they betray you to climb even higher. How to identify a narcissistic betrayer? They lack empathy. Your pain means nothing to them. If hurting you helps them, they'll do it without a second thought. They are transactional. Relationships are business. If being close to you benefits them, they're in. If not, they're gone. They charm to disarm. They mirror your values, complement your strength, and study your weaknesses, all to get closer. Let's say you have a friend who always seems supportive until you can't help them anymore. Suddenly they ghost you. Later you find out they've been using your name, your ideas, your work to elevate themselves. Or a coworker praises your contributions, nods approvingly, in meetings acts like your ally. Then a new opportunity appears. They take your ideas, spin them as their own, and land the promotion you were working toward. To them, it wasn't betrayal, it was strategy. How to protect yourself from narcissists. Trust what you see. If someone only shows up when it benefits them, believe their pattern, not their excuses. Set clear limits. Kindness is beautiful, but boundaries protect it. Don't let empathy turn into self-sacrifice. Cut off those who use you. A narcissist who betrays once will likely do it again. You're not cold for walking away, you're wise. Perhaps the most painful part about narcissistic betrayal is the aftermath. It makes you question your worth. You start wondering, was I ever valued, or was I just a means to an end? But here's the truth. They didn't betray you because you weren't enough. They betrayed you because you were more than enough and they saw what they could gain. Final thoughts: betrayal isn't the end, it's the reveal. Betrayal stings. It shakes your faith. It can make you doubt everything, your judgment, your value, your ability to trust again. But in Jungian terms, betrayal is not a failure. It's an unveiling. It reveals who people truly are. It shows you where loyalties end, where masks fall, where truth begins. What you do with that revelation is up to you. You can let it harden you, or you can let it teach you. Let it sharpen your awareness. Let it deepen your boundaries. Let it free you from illusions. Because in the end, betrayal doesn't mean the end of love. It just clears the way for real love to come, built on truth, mutual respect, and emotional maturity. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you faced betrayal and what it taught you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more powerful psychological insights. Because healing begins with awareness, and you're already on the right path. Let's keep walking it together.